Article 370 instituted the measures that my father had taken to safeguard the people of the state. It wasn't some kind of a heinous or some kind of a negative, sort of demonized article. That wasn't true. Sardar Patel requested my father, "My son, would you please stay out of the state for about 6 months or a year?" In fact, it became a lifelong exile. He never came back. Only his ashes came back, which I brought. On the one hand, Sheikh Abdullah was anti-Dogra, had forced my father into exile. And now here I was accepting a post which he has created. So to begin with, there was a lot of, anger and resentment among my community. Blackface, it was a painful thing. When I got to, after becoming Sadr Jasi, when I got to Jammu, sea of black flags from the airport to the palace. Not a pleasant experience.
How is your equation with Mr. Modi?
Personally, very good. You'll see a photograph in my room here. I haven't met him very often. Personally, I've not left the Congress actually. Rahul comes over sometimes.
Does he?
Came yesterday, we said a lot. I love
So this is a constant campaign.
folk music. I love classical music. Karnataka as well as
History never looks like history for Karan Singh, the 92-year-old son and successor of Maharaja Hari Singh, the last Dogra ruler of Jammu and Kashmir, as he has lived through it and now is witnessing a new chapter unfold from a distance. His life in many ways is deeply intertwined with the tumultuous journey of Jammu and Kashmir since 1947. Of course, there is a disclaimer. His history perhaps tells only one side, a significant side nonetheless, of Jammu and Kashmir's story of hope and despair, turmoil and transition. The Supreme Court judgment on Article 370 some days ago had transported him back to the events that unfolded after independence, years that shaped and perhaps transformed his life. Singh has welcomed the Supreme Court verdict. Interestingly, it was his father who in 1929 issued 2 proclamations giving only residents the right to government jobs and barring non-residents of J&K from buying land or property.
of course this abrogation of Article 370 has evoked, of course, mixed feelings in the state. One section of the state is happy, another section is very unhappy. But I made a statement saying that I welcome it for 2 reasons. First of all, for the last 4 years, there was a certain uncertainty hanging in the air. Supreme Court kya karega? Abhi Supreme Court hai, abhi Supreme Court. So that has been finally cleared. The legality of the whole thing has been cleared. So to that extent, the situation has clarified. Now, I had 2 demands, most of which the Supreme Court has secondary. One is that we should have our statehood restored. Second, we should have elections.
But personally, were you always of the view that this Article 370 was a hindrance in
No, I was not of that view. Article 370 instituted the measures that my father had taken to safeguard the people of the state. It wasn't some kind of a heinous or some kind of a negative, sort of demonized article. That wasn't true. There was as I explained to you, there was a reasoning behind it.
There was a reason behind it, true.
So Article 370 was, and it became an article of faith for many people. This gives us our dignity. This gives us the fact that we are a special state. We have a special status. So something which the people of the state were proud about.
But then you welcome.
But now it's gone. You see, I'm saying welcome because there is no point trying to aim for something which is not possible.
In a sense, it's a done deal.
It's a done deal now. It's a done deal. I wasn't consulted when they made the judgment. But now that it's a done deal, now I said, chalo ho gaya.
Better accept and move on.
Move on. Why keep hitting your head against a wall? We had gone to the United Nations, which was really, we need not have gone there. I still feel that we need not have gone. It wasn't necessary. We should have settled it ourselves. By going there, I think it was Mountbatten who persuaded Nehru to go there, saying that no, you are now the leader of the new post-colonial societies. Make an example of this, how peaceful resolution. It's an open and shut case of aggression. We settled so. Not realizing that once you went to the United Nations, you got bogged down.
That's true.
And we're still bogged down, and technically it's still on the agenda. So this is how many years later? 75 years later. Course of the United Nations negotiations, we had agreed to a plebiscite. Now, who was going to win the plebiscite for us? Sheikh Abdullah, who was the leader of the National Conference, which was the party that led the anti-Dogra, anti-our family movement in the state. And the result was that Abdullah was able to call the shots. And he, because of his great antipathy to my father, he told Jawaharlal Nehru, I cannot win the plebiscite as long as Maharaja Hari Singh is in the state. And he must leave, and the Maharani must leave, my mother. I came back from America in February of 1949. 49, I was back. We were summoned to Delhi in April of that year. That is where Sardar Patel requested my father, my son, would you please stay out of the state for about 6 months or a year? In fact, it became a lifelong exile. He never came back. Only his ashes came back, which I brought when he passed away in 1961. So the point was that he appointed me regent. This was before the election as Sadr Riyasat. He appointed me regent.
Kept on top of a stack of papers arranged neatly on his study was a copy of the Proclamation, the document which he had issued as an 18-year-old Yuvraj in 1949 and which the Supreme Court earlier this week said reflected the full and final surrender of J&K's sovereignty to India.
This I've signed.
This is the proclamation, sir?
This is the proclamation.
That the constitution will be applicable.
Because the Constitution State will. This is an important proclamation. It's in a way supplemented the instrument of accession.
The wording of this proclamation, you wrote it.
No, I didn't write this myself. It must have been legally drafted. My hunch is it was drafted by somebody in the government of India, but it came to me from the state government, not from the government of India.
But there was no state government then.
There was Sheikh Abdullah.
Abdullah.
More or less, he was in command.
Were you forced to do this?
No, why should I be forced to do this? I was also a nationalist. I was an Indian nationalist. I wanted very much to be part of the mainstream because we grew up reading Jawaharlal Nehru's books, Discovery of India, Autobiography. Aajkal padhta to koi hai nahi, nobody reads now. Those are the books that inspired us. I was a young man of 18 plus. I was also a young Indian, and I was very keen to try and help whatever I can do. And it was a privilege and an extraordinary situation to be appointed regent, head of state at the age of 18.
On May 1st, 1951, Singh issued a second proclamation, convening a constituent assembly for framing a constitution for the state.
Sheikh Abdullah was so strongly anti-Dogra that he's made a big song and dance about abolishing the monarchy. Although everywhere, all over India, these princes more or less, when they had integrated, they abolished. But he had to do a big scene about it. So he did that big song and dance, illuminations and all. We've got rid of Dogra rule after 100 years and so on. And the Constituent Assembly met. The Constituent Assembly was to decide who is going to be head of state. So this is almost a coup for you. I don't think anybody else has a text of this.
It's a privilege.
So the head of state was to be elected by the state assembly, called Sadr Riyasat. They elected me as Sadr Riyasat. That obviously put me in an awkward position because On the one hand, Sheikh Abdullah was anti-Dogra, had forced my father into exile. And now here I was accepting a post which he has created. So to begin with, there was a lot of, what should I say, anger and resentment among my community.
And what was the conversation between you and your father
I can't
before
go to
the proclamation and
No,
you taking over and all? Was he apprehensive?
He was apprehensive. He was apprehensive that they would throw me out at some point in time. And that there was a risk, of course, but I thought the risk was worth taking, but I accepted nonetheless, because again I accepted because the Maharaja wanted me to accept it, advised me to accept it, and I wanted to be part of the new India. I accepted it. As it turned out, in the next year, I won't go into the details, 53, I was elected in 52. In 53, there was a constitutional crisis in the state, and I dismissed Sheikh Abdullah. And he was put into jail, you remember. Then all these people kept saying, "Nahi, to bada acha hua." I said, "But when I accepted it, you showed me black flags wherever I went. Now how are you saying acha hua? Now do you realize?"
Your community only.
Yes, black flags they showed me. It was a painful thing. When I got to, after becoming Sadr Riyasat, when I got to Jammu, sea of black flags from the airport to the palace. Not a pleasant experience. Anyhow, I figured it out. And then the next year they all realized. I said, if I hadn't accepted it, there was nobody who could have reigned in Sheikh. He would have got one of his own flunkies in as head of the state.
Sheikh Abdullah, of course, has a different version. The rest is history. Singh remained the Sadr-e-Riyasat till 1965. The post was abolished that year and changed into governor. Singh took over as the first governor of the state and continued in the post till 1967.
I was regent, Sadr-e-Riyasat, governor, till 1967. By then, I was getting bored with J&K. I said, I'm not going to spend the rest of my life here. So I pressed Indira Gandhi, whom I knew very well by then, because Panditji used to visit Srinagar quite often. I used to go to Delhi and meet them. One or two times I was house guest in Teen Murti. So finally she agreed, and in her cabinet in 1967, I was included as a cabinet minister at the age of 36. Ministry of Tourism and Civil Aviation. But I was not a member of parliament, so I had to get elected. That's when I got elected for the first time, Udhampur. 77, after the emergency, everybody from North India lost except me. I won my seat from Udhampur. Mrs. Gandhi, you remember, it was a rout of the Congress. We had 150 members from South India. 77. 80 was a very tough election. By that time, Sheikh Abdullah and our party had split. Indiraji and Sheikh Abdullah were on one side, and I was alone.
After so many years inside Kashmir politics, in national politics, is there any regret do you have?
No.
That I couldn't do this, or I should have done it
No.
in a different fashion?
The only regret I have is that we were not able to finally sort out the Jammu and Kashmir problem internationally. But that was not in my hands. I had to come to India to do it.
How is the equation with Mr. Modi?
Personally, very good. You'll see a photograph in my room here. Personally, I haven't met him very often. But on my 90th birthday, I'd written to him requesting him to release a special edition of the Bhagavad Gita. So I'd asked him, I said, would he release it? So he said, yes. He was very, very kind. He invited us to his house. And we had the function there. It was Personally, I've not left the Congress actually. Rahul comes over sometimes.
Listen.
Came yesterday, we had a long. They're going to release, I think today they're going to release the video of his talk with me on Hinduism.
Oh, okay.
Not only on Hinduism, we don't talk politics. Right?
This is nothing to do with Kashmir. I just wanted to ask you, how do you keep yourself so energetic and healthy at 92, right?
The divine grace. You see, people ask me, what is your secret weapon? I said, this is my secret weapon. I'm Hindi पढ़ते हैं कि नहीं?
Om Namah Shivaya.
I'm a Shiva Bhakta. And so it's a divine grace. It is a divine grace to be able to keep yourself fit and well. I have a regulated diet. I don't smoke. I don't take alcohol normally. And I try and take a little exercise, and I keep myself busy with writing my books and making my lectures and so on.
So life moves on for Singh, a journey which coincided with the journey of independent India and Jammu and Kashmir. And he ends the conversation with another anecdote about his birth in Cannes.
So I've had a lot of interesting things in my life, all sorts of experiences in India and abroad. I was born abroad, by the way,
In France.
I was born in Cannes,
Thanks.
that where they have that film
Film
festival.
festival.
Hotel Martinez, room 318, 319, 320. I was a famous baby, so they know where I was born. My wife and I went back and we stayed in the suite where I was born.